This episode of Inside Golf Podcast is brought to you by Inside Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Boston Capital Twiddle, Steve, on the Hold the Green podcast.
All right, we are live. Tap in, birdie.
All right, Carson Young is here.
I bet Ludwig at 28.
Let's go. I bet
You
him
did
at,
too?
I bet him at 25.
Low sevens. I think there's some guys in here we like.
Harris English at 7,300.
I love Brian Harmon at 3.5% this week.
All right, welcome in. Coming to you live from Rochester, New York on this Sunday morning. I just had an incredible weekend with some ISN subscribers at Oak Hill. For my money, one of the best championship tests in America, and it was playing phenomenal. We got really lucky with the weather this weekend. It was playing perfectly firm and fast. Often when I go up there, there's some scattered rain showers that you kind of have to deal with that really soften the golf course up. And I've never seen it so firm. I've been there for the past 4 days, and there's been basically zero rain during the day. The greens have been super bouncy, but like playable as well. And it bums me out because not just Oak Hill, which is such a great venue for hosting championship golf and should just be absolutely in the rotation for the PGA Championship once a decade. Like, that should just be an easy one. Like Oak Hill, Kiowa, Southern Hills, there are a couple more where you just bank that once every 10 years. And it's an easy one where the club or the golf course wants it. It tests the players. It stacks up well against the modern game. The winning score at Oak Hill in 2023, when Brooks Koepka won, was 9 under par, and the golf course didn't play anything close to the way that, you know, it normally plays when it's presented as its fullest test in kind of June, July, August, and September, when you get kind of the best playing conditions that really allow the architecture to shine. But so many great golf courses, particularly in the Northeast, but really, honestly, like, I don't know, I'm going to throw out a random number. It's definitely north of 50% of the great golf courses in America, well north of 50%. I mean, because it's pretty much like 100% once you get into the Northeast, which has such a plethora of great golf courses where the playing conditions are going to be better in August and September than they would be in May. So by having the PGA Championship in May, you're basically just saying for one of the majors, we are not necessarily eliminating, but handicapping ourselves with so many of the greatest golf courses in America, or at least saying to ourselves, we can go to these places in May, but they're not going to shine the way that they normally would if we played them in June, July, August, or September. So a northerly location, and I'm going to play some great golf courses in Canada next week, which is like very, very similar, where this time of year is phenomenal for the best golf courses in Canada. But, you know, if you were to have a golf tournament at one of those golf courses in Canada in May, it would be cold and rainy and wet, and just not present in the way that it presents this time of year as well. It really boggles my mind. I really don't understand why we don't have a major championship. Like, I mean, I would push it to like right before the start of football season. I really would. I personally think the majors are a little too bunched up. It feels like the second you're finished with one, like, I need a little bit more time to catch my breath, and I would love a real 4 weeks between each major. I think that would eventize the majors a little bit more. So it wouldn't so much as feel like the second one major championship ends, you're already like, I think there should be a little bit more separation, instead of 3 weeks between majors in terms of the PGA, US Open, and British Open. I would love to see 4, and I would love to see them push the PGA Championship back into August or September. I mean, the beginning of the golf year has good events. It has Torrey Pines, Riviera, Phoenix. Like, you can push everything back a little bit. What the golf calendar needs a little more excitement in is not May and April and the beginning of the year when you have the Players Championship and all these really great events on the West Coast. What the golf calendar really needs help with is giving this period right now some juice, because I totally feel it with myself. I feel it with the people at ISN. Just hard to get up for the FedEx Cup playoffs. It's just hard to get up for these events. Like, I'm going to grind out these weeks with the same level of intensity and focus that I do for a major championship. I'm going to spend the same amount of money investing in these weeks and betting in DFS as if it was a major championship. The units are still going to be the same for me, but gosh, I don't really blame anyone for saying to themselves, I'm starting to get ready to get into football mode. And that's really a shame, because football isn't here yet. In fact, we're not even in training camp. So this is a part of the schedule that golf should really own. Seriously. I mean, really, the only other main big, huge sporting event on my radar in August is the US Open for tennis before we get into football season, right? So I don't know, spending some time at a great championship golf course this weekend that I have no idea whether or not they're going to host another PGA Championship in the near future. There's an open slot, I believe, in 2033. And I know Oak Hill and its members would certainly love to host it, but so long as the PGA Championship is in May, you're not going to get the version of Oak Hill that I was able to see this weekend, and that's a real shame. Anyway, let's dive right into Sedgefield and the Wyndham Championship, a tournament we all know very well. I kind of love this tournament. I hit the winner here last year, so we've got that great comp course history going for us. Oh, my apologies. That reminded me, because I'm hoping that one of my guys can come through today for us at the 3M Open. I did not watch any of this tournament. I got nothing on the 3M Open, guys. Shout out to you if you consumed any of the 3M Open. Our Discord was still humming. I think largely because we've had some great guys in the mix, but I don't know. The golf course is definitely playing soft and receptive like I expected. To be frank with you, I didn't really even expect it to play this easy. This year, it's actually playing like almost 2 strokes in total easier than last year. And I knew it was going to be softer and easier, but this year it just seems like a total dart throwing contest. And it seems like they've been a little bit easier with the pin positions and some of the tee boxes, really setting it up this year for birdies, which I think is silly, because I don't even think the best version of this golf course is when it's set up for players to just make a million birdies. I think a better version of this golf course is when you can get it playing ideally a little bit firmer, and there's a real penalty for missing the fairway, and you have to focus on driving the ball and play more and being a little bit more of a precise ball striker. But oh well, if Kitayama or Akshay win, it will be a great week for me. If they don't win, it will be a so-so week for me. I don't really have too much more to add on TPC Twin Cities. So this is the final event of the PGA Tour regular season. And we have been coming to Greensboro, North Carolina for the Wyndham Championship since 1983, when it was founded as the Greater Greensboro Open. It has moved around in the schedule a little bit, but Sedgefield Country Club, a Donald Ross design, has been our host venue since 2008. So we have a lot of data on this golf course. We know this golf course very well. It's a very straightforward golf course. There's not a lot of stuff that I'm going to be able to say about Sedgefield that is going to be drastically different from what you've heard me say in the past about Sedgefield, because they haven't really done anything to the golf course between now and last year. But with that being said, I do think that there is a very specific roadmap at Sedgefield this week, and I will talk about what I think is more important versus least important compared to maybe what could be some other narratives, and walk you through the top 20 in my model and the players that statistically make the most sense for me at this golf course. Although I have to say, given all the golf I've had this weekend, I'm a little bit behind on my player by player research. So I don't have any like strong opinions at the moment. This is a bet for me the second that odds drop on Monday morning. It's going to be a late night for me figuring that out after the DraftKings odds drop to this afternoon. I've got a long drive right after I get this podcast out from Rochester to New York City. And then we're going to walk into whatever ended up happening at the 3M. Hopefully, like I mentioned, Kitayama or Akshay winning, which would be great for my bank account. But God knows on these birdie fests, there are a lot of guys in the mix, and it's very easy for somebody to go out there like we saw from Kitayama and just put up a 61 or a 62. So anyway, on Sedgefield, I mean, Donald Ross design, it is the final opportunity for players to crack the top 70 in the FedEx Cup standings and continue their season next week in Memphis at TPC Southwind. Another wonderful scheduling move for the PGA Tour. Instead of going to the Northeast, where the golf courses are amazing this time of year, let's go to the Southeast for our 6th or 7th event in the Southeast on a 40 event PGA Tour schedule. And no, let's not just go to the Southeast at the time where it might be a little bit cooler there. Let's go when it's its absolute hottest in the middle of August. And it is going to be hot and humid and muggy this week at Sedgefield, like it normally is. I will say what is a little bit encouraging this year compared to previous years that I've noticed at Sedgefield. Looks like there's going to be some more wind in the forecast. And that's really one of the biggest defenses that this golf course has, is that when it plays soft and gets a bunch of rain and is super receptive, you saw what happened to the golf course a la TPC Twin Cities at the, with the 3M last week. But if we don't get a bunch of tournament week rain and it plays a little bit firm and fast and the greens get to bake out a little bit, that's when you start to see the years where the golf course plays a little bit harder. And when this golf course isn't soft and receptive, when it's firm, these are really good Donald Ross greens. Like, these are consistently some of the most difficult sloping greens on the PGA Tour. This is a golf course where you do not want to be behind the hole. Like, there's some real legitimately good greens. The issue is that more often than not, you're approaching those greens with a wedge instead of a long iron. So it's still pretty easy for you to give yourself a lot of 10 to 15 footers. And that's generally how the tournament is won. But on the more difficult holes, this is definitely a week to look at lag putting. But mainly, and gosh, it was so straightforward last year with Aaron Rai in terms of this guy was playing some great golf coming in, and he was a perfect course fit. The name of the game at Sedgefield is accuracy off the tee and middle iron play, right? And putting. I would say those are the three big things this week, is that Bermuda putting, accuracy off the tee, and short to middle iron play. And Sedgefield compared to other shorter positional golf courses, it definitely falls in the bucket where you can gain a significant advantage from hitting a ton of fairways at this golf course. Now, are there going to be examples on this leaderboard every single year where you have a player who's a little bit wild off the tee and they still putt their way into a high finish? Of course, that happened with Max Grazerman last year. Although, as you saw, his lack of driving accuracy was ultimately what did him in and cost him the tournament. Whereas Aaron Rai, on the other hand, ranked top 10 in driving accuracy. The prior year, Lucas Glover ranked first in driving accuracy and first in strokes gain approach. And I have to say, over the last 2 years, and Tom Kim as well, like when I think about some of the best combinations of driving accuracy and middle iron, Tom Kim, Aaron Rai, Lucas Glover, I would throw Russell Henley into that mix as well, who's played tremendous here also. These are like the Hall of Fame members of short positional driving accuracy, short to middle iron play, right? Like it is a very, very straightforward formula at this golf course. And, mainly, I mean, the reason why the missed fairway penalty here is higher and it actually matters is that we actually get Bermuda rough. And I've said this many times before when talking about these golf courses, but Bermuda rough generally creates a real missed fairway penalty for PGA Tour pros. Like it's really sticky and unpredictable this time of year, and the ball can sit down or it can fly. You can get some really bad lies on Bermuda golf courses, particularly when it's hot and sticky. So I mean, this is a golf course where hitting the fairway is very, very important. It's not the end all be all. Like I said, there's always going to be a player that finishes in the top 10 or the top 15 that does it a different way and is able to get it done by gaining a bazillion strokes putting and finding a way to still hit good wedge shots from the rough instead of the fairway. But if you look at some of the numbers here, it's pretty extreme. Going back to 2019, Webb Simpson, JT Poston, first and second in driving accuracy, and they finished first and second on the leaderboard. Jim Herman in 2020 won the event, ranking fourth in driving accuracy. That year, only Sam Burns was able to crack the top 15 that year with below average driving accuracy. In 2021, Kevin Kisner slightly broke the mold a little bit by ranking middle of the pack in accuracy, but 5 of the top 10 on the leaderboard still ranked top 10 in that category. So it's not just a positive correlation. Like it is straight up the guys that hit the most fairway on this golf course. There is generally like a direct correlation there for them to finish highly at this event. Like if you can generally predict the players that are going to hit the most fairways at this golf course, you will generally get a pretty good sense of who's going to play well and at least finish top 20. Like I said, 2 years or 3 years ago, Tom Kim, fourth in driving accuracy. Max McGreevy and Russell Henley both finished top 5, ranking first and second in driving accuracy. 2 years ago, like I mentioned, Lucas Glover, first in driving accuracy while winning the event. And ultimately, accuracy is always more highly correlated than distance at Sedgefield. Always. And the reason for that is it's just kind of like a claustrophobic, narrow golf course off the tee that bombing away with driver isn't really going to do too much more for you. Like the fairways often pinch in and get narrower the farther you get. There's some good fairway bunkering that kind of prevents you from just wailing away with reckless abandon. And a lot of players look at the strategy at this golf course and say to themselves, listen, I'm going to have a ton of wedges no matter what. So I might as well just hit the club that hits you the most fairways. I mean, if you happen to be somebody who is super long and straight and accurate with your driver, then that's awesome too. But if you just have a very reliable fairway finder shot off the tee, that's really all you need. So one of the ways that I'm modeling it out is like, I'm looking at the guys that are able to hit the highest amount of fairways consistently on shorter positional golf courses. I want guys that hit the fairway a ton with their driver as well. That's great. But if you have a proven formula and method to just be able to hit a ton of fairways at this golf course with whatever club you're choosing off the tee, the golf course is so short that you're still going to be able to put yourself in position for success. And obviously, in terms of the proximity buckets here as well, it's like a ton of shots from 125 to 200 yards. Not a ton of long irons on this golf course. It's a par 70, so it's not the type of place that you're looking at long iron play. It's not the type of place that you're looking at par 5 scoring. It still only measures 7,131 yards on the scorecard, and it is a lot of medium to short par 4s. Like I mentioned, the 3 most highly correlated skills that I want the most out of you this week is the ability to hit fairways, great performance from like 125 to 200 yards. And you're going to have to make a lot of 10 to 15 footers this week. I mean, it's not hard enough of a golf course from tee to green where weaker tee to green players are ever going to be out of this event, right? Like one of the things that I love about Sedgefield is that every player in this field can win, right? I mean, there's not like, if you putt well, and if you hit your wedges well, and if you hit some fairways, like you can perform great here. It's a really, it's really easy to get by at this golf course if you don't have some of like the most bigger important skills that generally separated other golf courses, like driving distance or middle to long iron play. This is a real old school throwback, one of the least correlated distance and middle to long iron play courses on the PGA Tour schedule. It's a real bunt it around there, hit the fairways, hit your wedges tight, and make a ton of 10 to 15 footers. I don't really have a ton much more to say on the golf course. I will say I put together I found this interesting. I think this might be useful information, but I put together all of the comp courses that I really thought are important and relevant to look at this week. And I think some people can get a little bit fast and loose with just comparing this golf course to any short positional golf course. Like, it's not like any short positional golf course because you need to hit fairways. There's a lot of other short golf courses where what you do off the tee doesn't matter at all. And it's not a golf course where you want to look at driving accuracy at all. Whereas this golf course, it's one of my highest weights on driving accuracy of the season. Like, I wouldn't comp Pebble Beach to this place because Pebble Beach doesn't test what you do off the tee whatsoever. But of course, there are a number of golf courses that really do test accuracy. Obviously, I am thinking of TPC Sawgrass is a great comp. Harbor Town, TPC River Highlands, Eastlake, Innisbrook are actually not bad. Eastlake and Innisbrook sneakily really test accuracy. And Eastlake, you're going to get that same southeastern July and August agronomy where it's just also testing the body. And if you can play in the heat. I mean, I spent a week in South Carolina playing golf every day a couple weeks ago. And at a certain point, it's so hot down there that it just becomes a battle between you and your body. It's not about you and the golf course anymore. It's about, are you drinking enough water and fluids to stay at equilibrium with the amount that you are sweating? Is the water coming in somewhat equal to the water coming out? Because you're legitimately sweating so much in the Southeast this time of year. One of the ISN subs that was with me this weekend lives in South Carolina, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it's hot here in Rochester right now, but it's just a different level of heat once you get into the 100 plus heat indexes. And I don't think it's going to be as hot as that in Sedgefield this week, because it does look like it's going to be a little bit windier. And so monitor the weather conditions this week. If we do see a little bit more breeze in the forecast, it's really not going to change the player profile or my course breakdown much at all. I mean, it's going to be the difference between whether this golf course plays to a scoring average of, I don't know, minus 1.3 under par or minus 0.5 under par. Whether or not it's minus 1.3 or minus 0.5, you're still looking at the same player profile. You know, even if it gets a little bit softer, the fairways are still narrow enough that you're going to want to find guys who hit the fairways. You know, if it's a little bit windier and plays a little bit harder, it's still going to place a premium on finding the fairway and short to middle iron play. So, you know, I looked at all of those golf courses that really test that really tests those three things: driving accuracy, short to middle iron play, and putting. And the top of the list, no Russell Henley this year, which is a shame. He's too good for this now that he won the API. Denny McCarthy, number one. Great spot for Denny to get his first PGA Tour win, but tried that at the John Deere and it didn't work out. JT Poston, number two. Shout out my guy, Tom and Marty's. He's joining me on Inside Golf Podcast tomorrow because I told him I think Poston, it's a big Poston week. And I'm really excited for that. That's going to be a fun conversation. Hideki Matsuyama, Thorpe Jorgensen's been quite well under, he's been quite solid under a limited sample size at these golf courses. But God, what a mess he was this week. Sung JM, what the heck, man? There's still people that are out there playing him at 2, 3, 4, 5% owned, but the guy just misses the cut every week because he can't hit an iron shot. And he's been doing it for a month and a half straight. And he's been unplayable for a month and a half straight. And I would say, like, at this point, 95% of the DraftKings field understands that at this point, but I don't know. Tremendous golf course for Sung Jae if he's playing anything close to normal, but he doesn't seem to be doing that right now. Noren, who has been a solid DFS play for me this week at TPC Twin Cities. Keegan Bradley, who might be it'd probably be Hideki, Fitzpatrick, and Keegan as the favorites this week. Lucas Glover, 9, Aaron Rye, 10. And I always say, I know people will talk about motivation this week in terms of getting into the FedEx Cup playoffs and whatnot. I tend to factor that stuff less. Those narratives tend to matter less for me. I tend to follow the numbers and the course fit and generally believe that if they wanted to, they would, right? I mean, it's hard to consistently rely on the thought process that a player who has been performing poorly all year is just magically going to start performing better because there's more on the line for him. If he's a great course fit, then obviously, yes, I'm super interested. But I will say, just to get it off the bat, I don't think where they are in the FedEx Cup standings is going to be a big part of my process this week. Okay, so let's talk about the top 20 in my model. Let's run through them because this is a okay Wyndham field, I would say, fairly standard Wyndham field. But Keegan Bradley, number one, Hideki, number two, Ben Griffin, number three, Matt Fitzpatrick, number four, who's just been playing some tremendous golf at the moment. Luke Clanton, number five. I bet Luke Clanton last week. I like the way that he's playing. It seems like he had a bad Saturday and is probably not going to win the 3M Open, but still will end up hopefully finishing top 20 for me at the 3M Open. Siwoo Kim, number six. That was a big disappointment for me. I played Siwoo Kim in DFS and I didn't really watch what actually happened there, but he missed the cut. Not great. 7, Lucas Glover. Obviously, he's got some great history here. 8, Aaron Rai. It does feel like a very straightforward golf course to get comfortable here. And, you can stack. Course history tends to be higher correlated here than the average PGA Tour golf course. So it is the type of place like we've seen with, Webb Simpson and Henley and Billy Horschel. Like if you fit that profile, you can get really comfortable here and stack. I would not be the least bit surprised if Aaron Rai contended at least to go back to back. And then a couple guys that, Bud Cauley, Eric Cole, Rio Hitsatsune. I love Rio this week. He's one of my favorite sleeper plays on the slate. He performed quite well at Wyndham last year. He's a sneaky guy who hits the ball really straight off the tee. Rio is most definitely going to be on my betting card this week. Rico Hoey, who's had kind of a roller coaster week at the 3M Open, as is tradition. Ryan Fox, 13, Denny McCarthy, JT Poston, Davis Thompson. Davis Thompson miscut last week. That's not great. Kurt Kitayama, although I have to say, I think if Kurt Kitayama is not hitting fairways, this golf course is just not a good setup for him. Like I want Kurt Kitayama on golf courses that are a little bit more driver heavy at least. And like TPC Twin Cities, it still tested accuracy, but at least that was a golf course where you could take out the big stick and gain a real advantage from hitting the ball long and straight. Wyndham, I just want you to find the fairway and bunt it off the tee. Any advantage that you have as a long driver is going to be mitigated at Sedgefield. And the other thing about Kurt, I mean, he's 17 in the model just because he's playing so well. I don't think it's a good course fit. But the other thing about Kurt is he's a much better middle to long iron player relative to his competition than he is a wedge player. So I'm not really as excited about him on wedge golf courses as I am on middle to long iron golf courses. To finish up the top 20, we have Austin Eckroat, who I like quite a bit. Christian Bezadenhout, Victor Perez. Love Victor Perez. May bet Victor Perez. He's having another really solid week at the 3M Open. I've just been on him a ton. I've been playing him at major championships at 5.9K, and I've been plugging him into my DFS pool every week. He's T20 right now, having a good week at the 3M Open. I think his ability to find fairways and spike on approach is a very good fit for Sedgefield as well. So I don't have a ton more to say on the golf course. It is very straightforward in terms of the skill sets that you need and what I'm looking for. Hopefully have a good sense of those after listening to the podcast. And as always, if you want more, if you want a deeper level of insight, if you want to find who ends up being on my betting card and get some of the really more in-depth weather stuff with Twitter with Steve, who I had a great lunch with yesterday, as well as our ownership projections, InsideSportsNetwork.com. We would love to have you over these last couple of weeks. The grind doesn't stop for us. We'll be trying just as hard every single week throughout this year, throughout the end of the FedEx Cup playoffs, as well as the fall swing. Every single fall swing event, it's my job. This is what I do, breaking down these courses, providing ownership, trying to give the highest level of analysis possible. If you care about playing DFS and betting these weeks, I promise you will be in good hands. Have a great Sunday. Good luck to Akshay and Kitayama. I really need a low one from Patty Fishburne as well. And have a great rest of your Sunday. Cheers.